What do anime and free-to-play games have in common? Well, they usually combine with a gambling addiction mechanic to make a pretty mediocre gacha game out of an established franchise. Is Seven Deadly Sins Origin an exception to this, or does it follow the same format? Let's find out as we continue my free-to-play game review series where we answer the following questions. Is this game worth your time? Is it worth your money? And ultimately, is it worth playing? Let's start things off by figuring out what kind of game Seven Deadly Sins Origin is. Seven Deadly Sins Origin is an open world action RPG, role playing game, meaning the game is fairly free to roam, but typically has areas locked up by story, quests, or paid DLC. From my experience, it's all story and quest related to Seven Deadly Sins Origin, so don't worry too much about that when you start playing. And its combat is active rather than being a traditional turn-based RPG. It's also based in the universe of the Netflix anime Seven Deadly Sins. While the anime has its faults, as most anime do, to be honest, I found it to be relatively enjoyable once you get past some of the, major annoying parts of anime. The standard tropiness, jiggle physics, power level, blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, Seven Deadly Sins Origin doesn't follow much of the faults the anime does. Well, too much, besides the long title. So I'm going to go ahead and call it Origin from now on to make things a little easier. So Origin is developed by Netmarble, who are well known in the mobile game world for their gacha style action and anime based RPGs. They've made a couple of solo leveling games, Marvel Future Fight, and even a different Seven Deadly Sins game in Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross, which is a more standard turn-based RPG. Their games typically look and play fairly smoothly and try to mimic the styles of the IP that they've licensed. In Origin, they have certainly done that. The art style of the game actually mimics the differing art style that the Seven Deadly Sins movies, The Grudge of Edinburgh Parts 1 and 2 used. A 3D CGI style that looks way more like a long video game cutscene than an anime. But good news, this works perfectly, as Origin also stars the main protagonist in those films, Tristan. Now, semi-spoilers ahead for the main Seven Deadly series anime, but you'll find this out in the game anyway, so be prepared. Tristan is part of the follow-up movies just mentioned and the series Seven Deadly Sins, The Four Nights of the Apocalypse. And he's the son of the Seven Deadly Sins main protagonist, Meliodas and Elizabeth Leonis. Now, thankfully, the game doesn't spoil a ton of the anime besides that fact. And maybe a few sections of the first season, plus, some character romances. But you, watching this video, may be more of a fan of the anime, which brings you to the game. So hey, no spoilers for you. Or rather, you could be a gamer looking for a new free-to-play game and stumbled on this video. So 1, hi. 2, thank you for watching. 3, I would probably watch the anime. You won't understand the spoilers if you aren't interested in the anime, so I wouldn't worry a huge deal about it, but it's a pretty good anime, so I'd probably watch it anyways, after you get around the old gropey stuff. Good thing either way, Origin is its own fully unique story that is not canon in the universe. So besides those small spoilers, the game really takes its own freedom to create a new adventure for us within the world of Britannia. You start by playing as Tristan and his friend Tiore. They stumble into a mysterious underground ruin while exploring the kingdom of Leonis, one of the 12-ish main map areas of the game that you'll get to explore. The map is freaking huge, by the way. Within this ruin, you'll go through the basic tutorial and even continue more of the tutorial for a few hours into the game, along with the main plot point that I don't want to spoil for you. The main story centers around the themes of corruption, redemption, and time travel, so it really has a lot for everybody. During this main tutorial, you'll start to get a feel for the combat system that Origin uses. If you've ever played the Naruto Shippuden Ninja Storm games, you'll get a great similarity with this combat system. Combat flows with a simple ability system. You have 2 special skills initially that have a small timed recharge, a basic attack, and then you have a larger kind of special ultimate attack that takes time and ability in combat to power up. You'll see these 7 markers light up as you use abilities and attacks in combat, and this correlates to the ability to use your ultimate attack. For example, Tristan's ultimate takes 2 of these charges, while King's takes 3 to 4 depending on the one used. There's also a tag system just like in Naruto Shippuden games. I do believe Genshin Impact does also do a tag system, but in Origin, you get a special tag in attack that's linked to these little markers here next to your health bar. As long as they're charged, your character will attack when they pop in. Some of these attacks even stun enemies, so don't sleep on them. They specifically stun minor enemies or when larger bosses turn blue and charge for a special attack. This tag system is super smooth, so use it sparingly on bosses to ensure you have them charged, but still often as you can get some really good damage from them. With all the attack systems in mind, the combat is very smooth and super fast paced, which makes it kind of fun, like very fun. You can also make combat wildly varied based on the equipment used. Each character can have 3 different weapons equipped, which translate to 3 different combat styles. And this is super cool, 3 different sets of abilities for that character, with the possibility of even different elements attached to that character. Here, you can see Tristan has 2 weapon types that provide fire skills and 1 that provides wind. Now, you'll only have access to the first weapon type initially for a character, but that changes when you gain mastery for that character. So, here's where we get a little off the rails now, as progression definitely isn't a science. But there is a kind of a chunk to it to understand, so hopefully this helps. When you level up a character's mastery, they initially gain access to the other weapon types and even gain combat power via a potential point. Potential points can be gained via leveling up the mastery of that character and by drawing them via the game's gacha system, which I will cover a little later. Combat power comes from your character's base stats like health, defense, attack, etc., from the weapon equipped, and gear like armor, along with your mastery level. The higher the level you increase your gear, stats, and mastery, the more combat power you have. Fairly simple, right? So there isn't a definitive calculation out there for this right now, so don't ask me how this is specifically calculated or what's like weighed more. I don't know. I don't believe anyone knows. I think it's just a made up system. So, why is combat power so important? Well, some of the game's side areas and even main missions are locked behind your team's combat power. It almost acts as your difficulty meter in a way because isn't a traditional difficulty slider in the game, technically. Ways to increase your combat power include leveling up your gear by refining it. You do this by sacrificing other gear and specific upgrade equipment, like these refinement stones, to do so. Be careful of sacrificing good or super rare equipment. Definitely not me speaking from experience. Now, here's where the game gets grindy. As you increase your gear, it becomes harder to level up because the type of upgrading materials becomes harder to find. There is a specific mechanic in the game called the Book of Stars. No spoilers, as it does directly correlate with the game's story, but this mechanic, when leveled up, can increase the difficulty of the world, making monsters have chunkier health and stronger attacks, etc. It also levels up the rewards you can get in-game, thus providing better loot to sacrifice or specific loot needed to upgrade your mastery, thus leveling up your combat power. The grind for combat power is really the main gameplay loop once you beat the main story. Hell, even during the in-game portion, you may have to grind some in order to beat the final couple of bosses. I know I did because I was severely underpowered. I will have some quick tips and tricks at the end of the video regarding powering up, so stick around for that, and if you're enjoying this video so far, please leave it a like. I really appreciate it, and it helps the channel. Now, another way to get stronger is to just get better characters, or super rare gear. I think that's what SSR stands for. From my understanding, there are 4 categories of rarity for gear, and 2 for playable characters. For gear, you have normal, rare, super rare, SR, and super rare, SSR. For characters, it's just super rare, the purple ones, and super rare, the gold ones. There are multiple ways to get gear. One of the main ways is through elite enemies and mini-bosses that can be found in the game world, and also farmed, which is a big part of the game, to be fair. Now, these enemies increase their rarity of equipment they drop based on the world level mentioned earlier. Now, some pieces of equipment are exclusive to specific mini-bosses, like this red demon, for example. So you'll have to fight these a lot to get specific gear. Now, why would you want these specific pieces of gear for? Well, to get engraved gear. Huh? These are character exclusive pieces that are better than separate pieces of gear typically, and they provide you with a new skin for that character, so they are just definitely worth getting. You can also get better pieces of gear through boss challenges and dungeons, i.e., replaying story bosses and story sections at higher levels of difficulty. Now, these are locked behind the combat power of your character, the story progression, and your Book of Stars world level. So you'll have to continue into the story to get better gear in general. The last way to get gear, and damn near the only way to get characters, is through the game's most controversial system, the draw system, otherwise known as gacha. Gacha is a basic term for monetized method of getting blind loot boxes that contain anything from items, weapons, and gear, and characters. In Seven Deadly Sins Origin, it's the only way you can get some of the strongest characters in the game. And the draw rates aren't exactly great. Now, the exception, sort of, being that they do provide you with the guaranteed super rare grade characters, and even a specific character sometimes within a certain number of draws. Thankfully, the game provides you plenty of in game currencies that you can draw some of the most strongest characters by just playing the game alone. It also doesn't push monetization at all. Like, zero pop ups happened at all. I had to look for how to even buy things, which is actually super appreciated. Now, if you are looking into getting all of the best characters, you will likely have to spend hundreds of hours in game grinding, get extremely lucky on draws, or spend an unknown amount of money to get them. The latter part of that, I don't recommend, but the game does provide a plethora of ways to get in game currency. There's a shop in the main menu to really look around often, and a bunch of different in game currencies that are found in the world and can be used for anything from character draws to weapon enhancements and even blueprints for super rare weapons. In this shop, you will find some intro bundle to purchase, a battle pass called the Hawk Pass, named after the best character in the game for sure, and some different bundles to make progression easier. The game also offers limited time events to pick up different characters, like Clotho in this example. I was very sad I missed the Escanor event as he's my favorite character. Like, super freaking sad about it, man. I was so mad. The first special currency from outright money that you can get will be Star Memory. This is a premium currency just used for limited time character event pickups after you unlock the character via draws. So it's like, hey, spend effort and time to maybe get the limited event character and then spend some real money to get these items via Star Memory. Like, this part of the monetization is a little scummy, to be honest, but super optional, so it's not a big deal. You cannot get Star Memory in game at all, and it is only purchased as a premium currency. After that, there is the exchange shop. Now, here is where you can use the in game currency from just playing work for you. Loyalty is from purchases, so unless you buy things often, it's not worth it. I bought the Hawk Battle Pass to see if it was worth it, and I truly don't believe it was unless you plan on playing a lot, as there are like 80 levels to it, and it's a very limited time pass. The next currency is the Star Trace Crystalloid. You get them often from draws when you happen to draw a hero, so save them up as you can buy draw tickets with them and even hero potential points for more combat power. Star Trace fragments are next and can also be used for draws and other like rare and below items in the shop, so that's kind of cool. The shop items do reset on a monthly basis, I believe, for this section specifically. And lastly are star fragments, which can be found floating around the world and really are awarded for doing about anything in the game. Now, I would save most of the currencies early on for draws to get better gear and characters, especially waiting for an event when new characters drop. But when you first start, the game really does throw a ton of currency at you to make you want to stick with it. It's kind of an early reward, so you get sucked in with the hope that you buy more progression later when it does start to slow down. Is the game strictly a pay to win? No. But I do think it's a pay to be the strongest, especially quickly. Otherwise, the game is built on daily, weekly, monthly, and even event mission grind. The other currencies you may notice are specifically in-game only currencies, and used at merchants or to pick up gear from optional boss fights. These often include cube keys for those boss fights, gold for buying things at merchants, and using to upgrade your gear, and a plethora of materials for some of the side mechanics that include like crafting, and cooking. I won't go super deep into those because the game does a pretty good job of telling you what to do in the tutorials, but also they're kind of fun to figure out if you're interested in those mechanics. Like cooking is grabbing random items and materials, putting them together and cooking with them. It's kind of cool. The cool thing is, there are plenty of ways to get these in-game currencies by just exploring while you're playing. The game's map opens up super early, so just exploring and playing around in this beautiful open world really gets you a lot. Speaking of this beautiful open world, let's talk about the environments in Seven Deadly Sins Origin. The game is absolutely gorgeous and plays to the beauty of the anime so well. The draw distance is pretty good when you can think about it compared to other games, as you can see from this circling of the Leonis area. The really cool thing about the environments are how varied they are, along with how well the devs encapsulated some of the iconic areas within the anime, like the Fairy King Forest and Leonis Castle. I didn't expect to be able to visit and explore some of these areas so deeply. Hell, the devs even anticipated you going to the very tip top of locations like Leonis Castle, so they put like little treasures to find there. Now the map and areas are huge, and the crazier part is they aren't fully developed yet, as there are multiple locations still not explorable, but they are named on the map. And I imagine future events and like storyline arcs will be added to explore these areas. The environments really tell a story themselves too, and how varied they are, and the different enemy types and monster or beast types within them. Like, look at this ancient dragon boneyard. Like, one, how did they all go in the same area? Two, who the hell is crazy enough to live here? Three, how'd they die? Like, what? They're all fighting each other? What's happening here? Now, you may be watching these clips and wonder, how the heck do I get these cool animals he keeps riding? Well, that's another wild mechanic in the game. Monster catching. Yep, we got Pokemon in the Seven Deadly Sins world. Let's go. Now, the monster catching mechanic is a little tough, as you have to whittle the health of the creature down and throw a potion at it. Now, keep in mind, smaller and non-mount creatures are easier to catch, and the cooler, larger creatures are harder. The devs provide a few high probability potions, think like Ultra Balls and Pokemon, but you still have to get pretty lucky. Heck, there are some creatures that only appear in specific hours of in-game time and only last 1 minute when you start the fight. So you have to not kill them and catch them, maybe, in that minute. You can see me attempting that with the Midnight Fang and failing miserably over and over. I hate this Komodo dragon, little bitch! Thankfully, the time issue isn't a big deal because there is an in-game clock you can just adjust, which is nice. The pets, as the game calls them, are super cool, and there are so many, 64, I think, in total. Some are there to help you auto-collect loot, and some even have special abilities, and can even fight in combat while you ride them. I do highly recommend grabbing a flying one as soon as possible, as it helps exploration a ton. But a game with a myriad of beasts and monsters specific to each region just really it makes me happy. And getting to catch them and use them as mounts and pets is like the icing on the cake that I never expected I needed in my life, especially for a gacha game. Speaking of all these cool animals, it makes me appreciate all the amazing animals we have in our world. And it's the mission of this channel to help the endangered ones by donating 50% of all channel proceeds to causes like the Red Panda Network, World Wildlife Fund, and many more. Just you being here helps support that mission. But if you are enjoying the video, please give it a like and subscribe so I can keep popping up on your feed. I truly appreciate it, guys. While we're exploring these environments, you can't help but notice that the sound design of the game is just great. They really hit a lot of little things, from background animal noises, flames from braziers or campfires, water and wind in the environment, to the different sounds of characters transitioning in via the tag system. Hell, they even have different footstep sounds for different characters. I've never felt like the sounds from attacks or combat were ever too noisy or overwhelming, like we kind of experienced in Path of Exile. The music does a fantastic job of setting the stage for the story, but also in the open world. Now, I hope I don't butcher his name, so I do apologize ahead of time, but they brought in Hiroyuki Sawano to compose the game, and he's actually the original composer for the anime, And he's even composed music for like huge shows like Attack on Titan and even Solo Leveling. It's super cool they brought in like the original composer for this. But it is even cooler that they also brought in the original voice actors for the game too. Now, the glaring thing is the game is subbed for English, and it's available in Japanese and Korean languages for the voices. It's awesome they brought back the original cast and even have a specific section in the hero info screen that shows who voices the character and the voice lines. I really, really hope they bring in an English dub to the game, as I love the cast of the English version on Netflix. I really don't believe it's in the works, unfortunately. Very sad at the moment. But the game doesn't have to have it to be enjoyable. So I'll just let you know. I just would like to see it personally as a professional voice actor. The only weird thing about the sound design is that the music will cut or not cut from the open world battles, which can make it kind of weird fighting monsters during a really like calming atmospheric piece. I also do find it hard to read the subtitles while mid-mission and moving because the characters do talk and travel quite a bit during main story progression. These are very, very small things, of course, in the grand scheme of things. Speaking of bugs, I only found one major one with Escanor and his attacks not connecting with hitboxes, so you literally couldn't complete his tutorial or fight with him at all. I believe they patched that actually after the event ended, but since I didn't get a chance to get him, I'm not mad about it all. Definitely not. No, not mad. I can't confirm that. Come on, Netmarble, give me Escanor. Just saying. Besides that, though, I didn't have a hugely buggy experience like some folks have, which brings me towards the end of our video, where we answer if this game is worth your time, is it worth your money, and ultimately, is it worth playing? So the time you'll spend in this game's main story will likely range from around 40 hours if you push through the 13 story acts fairly quickly, to 100 plus hours if you explore often and get distracted by every treasure, chest, enemy, mining opportunity, and event available at the time you start playing. Both are very solid ways to play, to be honest, and I would absolutely think spending that much time in the game is worth it if you feel the rewards of gear and potential heroes from draws hits that itch for you. Now, once you finish the main story, you'll see on the map here that there are hundreds of side quests and collectible progressions to add to your time to play, which isn't a small feat at all. And they are adding things often to keep folks engaged. I do wish the communication was better with the devs, like a roadmap would be great. But I could absolutely see myself even dropping 100 plus hours into the in-game content, especially if you have some friends to play with too. I didn't touch on that, but the game is multiplayer, and that's available after a 4 or so hours of story progression. The cooler thing is, though, you could easily just drop in and play for a couple hours and not feel like you've had a bad session, because you could explore during that time and just see how deep the environment and the secrets go. Now, is the game worth your money? I don't think it's worth spending any money on the game until you get to the end game, mainly because you don't have to spend any money to play through the entire story. And by that time, you'll really understand if you're willing to push for high level loot and gear for your party. That takes a lot of time or paying to progress. The game isn't pay to win, but it most definitely is a pay to progress once you get to the in game content. For example, there's an in-game area called the Time-Space Junction. I won't spoil what it's there for, but the recommended power level is 75,000 to play it. I ended the main campaign at around 19,000 combat power for my team. To get the necessary materials and level up components for your gear would take a very long time for those traditionally farming enemies, and can kind of be bypassed a little bit by buying things like the bundles available in the shop. If you want to support the game while pursuing the more free-to-play route, the Hawk Battle Pass is definitely a way to go. $10 USD early on to get a plethora of upgrade components and draw tickets isn't a crazy amount. Plus, it does support the devs. To be very honest, none of the other bundles really shape up to be worth it for the monetary value, in my opinion. If I'm paying to progress, I better be skipping 10,000 plus combat power in a single bundle. But I don't think you would with the ones they provide. Lastly, but most importantly, is 7 Deadly Sins Origin worth playing? I 100% believe if you enjoy the anime at all and enjoy video games, this is definitely worth a playthrough, as the story is super compelling and worth it alone. If you aren't super into anime, but you like RPGs, want a new free-to-play game, and are okay with the quirks of a gacha game monetization scheme, I think Origin is a play for you too. The combat is silky smooth. Character movement gets clunky when going vertical in exploration, but the systems that the game has are numerous and really hit so many different people's likes. From cooking meals to increase your power level for a limited time, to crafting gear and exclusive skins, to hunting huge monsters from the anime's iconic story for better gear, and catching freaking monsters like Pokemon to ride them. The mechanics and systems in this game are vast and just worth it for any RPG lover. So there you have it. You should absolutely give 7 Deadly Sins Origin a play. Now for the fun part. You sticking around this long deserve a bigger reward. Here are random tips that will definitely help in the game with no context to when they occur. So maybe come back and watch this part again when you're deeper into the systems of the game. Just saying. Yeah, just saying. When your companions are highlighted blue, you should switch to them quickly. It can cause a counterattack to hit the enemy and stun them briefly, or it can help you just move out of the way of a big attack when you are stunned. Always check your bag, because you may have consumables that give you super rare heroes. Netmarble gives things away often for just patches and maintenance they do. So check the mailbox often for awesome little rewards, especially potions of charm to get more potions to catch animals. Helping villagers in specific areas or regions provide coins specific to that region, and there are merchants that are specific for those coins. The merchants have anything from a secret rare crafted weapon chest to different mastery upgrade and weapon upgrade materials. You can also provide animal parts or beast parts that you get off killing just random animals in the area to turn into those village for seals as well. Before marking a daily mission complete, make sure that you select the region you want to be in for the day before you collect anything. Otherwise, you're stuck to a specific region for 24 hours. So if an animal is catchable, it'll highlight when you scan over it. So if it doesn't highlight, that means don't waste your potions because you can. You do get a decent chunk of experience for the Book of Stars for side quests, so it is worth doing for the sake of increasing the level of the world to get better loot and drops in general, and to get better fragments and stuff like that for upgrading. Read the effects of your special attacks and ultimate attacks, as you may be able to combo with a single character's abilities in certain orders, or with other heroes in your party. Make sure to double check the bags and bundles you get in your inventory, because some of them will give you everything in the bag that it shows. Some will give you it based off a set of pick rates, just like the draw boxes and hero draws, and some give you a choice to actually choose the item that comes out of the bag or box. When you start increasing the mastery stat block, your tree is very specific to that weapon type, so you kinda do get locked in using only that weapon. So I would almost wait to increase one until you know you want to use that weapon type for good, or you draw like a really good super rare weapon. Though your team can change at will based on your needs, the story and plot scenes will have the specific people from the story in it that might break some immersion for some people. I don't think it's a huge deal with these kind of games, but it could, affect the way you play it. Changing the world level doesn't change the story boss difficulty, and you can only change the world level every 15 minutes. Swapping characters and timing your special abilities creates a pretty fast-paced fighting style once you get the combination down. It really does a lot of just good damage output too in a very quick time. You can purchase Hawk Pass levels via your Dream Shards, which actually wasn't a terrible cost. But I would only do that if you already have solidified a solid team from the hero draws. The main mastery nodes of your non-equipped weapons do count in your stats overall, so it's worth mastering or increasing the mastery of the weapons you aren't even using in order to make your power level more. I had King go up over 2,000 combat power just doing the first 2 levels of the weapons I didn't even use with him. That being said, the smaller nodes in the mastery tree only count for the equipped weapon. It's a weird system there, to be honest, but here we are. When trying to get engraved gear, the exclusive skin and armor that each character has a few of, it uses a special type of armor dropped by boss monsters. Check with the engraving merchant to see which monsters drop that specific gear you need, and make sure that specific items are unequipped before you try to engrave them. Otherwise, it won't show up as available. Tag points are to the left of the health bar. There are 3 of them, and they reload over time automatically. And they'll ding when they're ready. So when you have the opportunity to tag a character in, and the follow-up attack will occur. Otherwise, when you tag a party member in, they just float in the air with no attack. The battle training ground is found in the menu and is a great place to learn the basic controls along with getting free dream shards to the tune of 750-ish. It's great for buying a couple of draw tickets early. Alrighty, that does it. And I hope you enjoy your time with 7 Deadly Sins Origin. And let me know how you like it in the comments. If you want to explore some other free-to-play games, check out this playlist over there. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Love you. Bye.